WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Hello. Welcome to Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday evening. We're having a good time. We're getting ready to get into the show here tonight. I hope everybody's enjoying this Wednesday night in the city beautiful in Orlando. We're having great weather right now. Great weather. Hot in the daytime, cool in the evening. I don't know what it's like in your city, but we're enjoying this. This is that good time, that good part of the year. It's not raining. The raining every day is starting to subside, so we're getting actual sunlight. It's a good thing, man. Love this city. That's why I can't move. Everything tells me to leave Florida, man. You can make more money. But
you wasn't saying it a few years ago. When you was up there in Maine.
I can't leave the city. Well, I had to come back. I was in Maine, but I was coming back, though. You can't be in Maine forever.
No, you can't.
No, you cannot be in Maine forever. But good times. Let me go ahead and welcome everybody that's in the studio tonight. We got Mr. Micah Kings in the building. How you doing, sir?
My brother. I'm doing great.
He's going to trademark that in a moment.
It's already coined, baby. I got
Jeremy's in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How you doing out there?
And Mr. Frank Torres is back with us. How you doing tonight, Frank?
Doing great. Great to be here with you guys again.
That's awesome, man. Real quick, before we get into the show here, I got to acknowledge, did you watch any college football the past weekend? I mean, what was it, like 5 or 6 top 10 teams went down?
Well, if you followed it, it really wasn't upsets because, you know, if you're following it, you know how deep that SEC West is, and everybody's kind of on the same level. And we know everybody been talking throughout the season who's going to get in the playoffs because they figure everybody might lose once or twice. So it depends on the number might say upset, but if you watch the games, like everybody know, Ole Miss got the best defense in the country this year. Alabama don't have it. It's Ole Miss, so you know they did what they were supposed to do.
Okay,
but they got to do it again this Saturday.
Who they play this Saturday, bro?
They play Texas A&M, who has the number 1 offense in the country.
Gotcha. So it should be interesting.
But they don't got no defense, so.
So it should be interesting. But yeah. I love the sound effects. You can always tell when Chris Shaw's in the building.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Chris Shaw, man. But yeah, it should be interesting. Not a lot of parity in the NFL. That was pretty normal for the most part, I would think. But yeah, football, man. Love this season. Best time of the year as far as I'm concerned. We'll see. For those hockey fans out there, I see hockey started up this week too.
The NBA did too, actually.
The NBA?
Or at least the preseason.
The preseason's okay.
Yeah, the Magic and the Heat played last night.
They lost that game. They won that game.
The Magic actually won.
Oh, there you go.
In Miami. I don't know why the Wizards starting to try to start trouble. I should say. I know that wasn't the best correct English, but come on, man, give me.
You've been stumbling though, man. You've been stumbling all day.
Maybe you're just tired.
Well, if you haven't paid attention, I believe it was Bradley Beal said that Washington had the best young backcourt in the game. He did say young backcourt. He didn't say backcourt. He said they had the best young backcourt.
Ah, okay. So that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Ah, I got you. Well, that's
I'm
good.
a basketball guy, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
College basketball and college football. That was my thing. Y'all can have the pro sports sometime.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Frank is here. As I said last week, I've asked Frank to come in every week this month to talk to us about voting. In particular, talk to us about the candidates that we can vote for in November, because vote November 4th. So Frank's coming in. Last week he came in. He broke down, gave us some information about the 2 main candidates anyway, for governor, Charlie Crist and Rick Scott. I've asked them to come in this week and to talk about Orange County District 2 and District 6. So listen, Frank, the first question I wanted you to do for me though is explain to people, what does an Orange County District Commissioner do? What is their job? What is the role that they play?
You know, it really is, where the rubber meets the road as far as politics go. You're talking about development in the area, certain regulations around, the municipalities. This is the things that affects us every day. It doesn't sound very glamorous. It doesn't sound as glamorous as a governor or job. And these commissioners, they sit on the board, including the mayor of Orange County, and they make these important decisions. And it really is a pretty intense and important job. There's a lot of people lobbying these people. A lot of lobbyists, in and out to these people about developments and the direction where the area's heading. And, and the fact that we're land tourism capital of the world is more interesting. And we got all these big projects like, just recently hit, started rolling this year. We got a new museum coming to the area, a new performing arts center getting ready to open up. These kind of commissioners, including, and how it would be spent. And, it's a really, really important job that enough voters don't pay attention to.
Gotcha. So let's talk about these candidates. Let's start with District 2. So in District 2, who are it?
District 2, you got your Popka area, Eatonville, Ocoee, and certain around there. You got two solid candidates in there. They both got experience in local government. You got Brian Nelson, a former state representative who calls a Popka home. And you got a former Eatonville vice mayor calls Eatonville home. Now, both of these guys, both those areas are very different, despite being the fact that, both with culture and the way, lives are lived there. So you got these two very different individuals running to represent very different parts of the area, which they might not have a lot of connections with. So what you're hearing, a lot of these people, I'm not here just to serve Eatonville, or I'm not here just to serve Apopka, but I'm here to serve everybody in the district, no matter how different the two areas or the three different areas may be. So there's Brian Nelson, former state representative.
Is there a distinct difference in maybe the philosophy that the two candidates have?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of differences between the philosophies. As far as Brian Nelson has talked about using Evans High School as a central portion of his plan to spur economic development and help the areas youth in the areas. Alvin Moore has talked about redeveloping the district and making sure and some exciting developments in his area. So they both got very different philosophies. And they've gone at each other a little bit, early on in this race. They've had a couple of forums, and there have been some accusations flying back and forth over donations being accepted from different people, and legislation done or laws done while they were both in charge of their respective offices. So they're not the best of friends. They're a little contentious, but I think they're both strong candidates, and they both want to do what's right for the area, which is good for the voters. It's just up to the voters to educate themselves and make sure they make.
Hopefully, a guy that's gonna actually support them.
That's
I know
right, yeah.
with that particular race, because in the next one we're going to talk about, Orange County District 6. No matter who wins, we're going to have a black candidate to represent District 6.
Yes.
And then we also have a black candidate representing Regina Hill that's also representing as well.
Remarkable story, Regina Hill. That might be, as we head towards the end of the year, that might be one of the biggest stories of the year. So,
Right. And then so it potentially between the two candidates in District 2, Alvin Moore, who's a black candidate, and then wow, you just said his name and I can't even think
Brian Nelson.
Brian Nelson, who's a white candidate. But if Alvin Moore wins, that will be three district commissioners who are black, which I believe will be at least a historical event. And something interesting, maybe advocating for the black community, potentially. If like I said, but he has to
right.
win.
Yeah, he has to win, and as far. And these are the voices for those areas, and which is why, the whole thing is about voter awareness, making sure, you get out there and you make sure that the person that presents your values is the one making those decisions for you, especially the Orange County Commission, because these decisions are going to affect you. This is going to affect your drive to work. This is going to affect the businesses that are around you. And it's a really important race, and people just don't pay attention. But I know both of these candidates are both good men, and it's going to be all about who can get their people to the polls to get them elected. Brian Nelson almost won it outright during the primary in August. Alvin Moore snuck in there over Patricia Rumpf, a corrections department official, to get in there and make it a two-person race. So he's looking favored at this moment, although Alvin has been working hard to pick up those different areas that he didn't get the first time around to become that voter count to be a winner. But they're both good candidates, and they're going to start slamming each other here in the mail and maybe even in the radio. That's what it's all about these days, each other up.
Right.
In good shape either way.
And I also saw Rito.
Orlando-politics.com. You take what you get. Everything is gone.
Yeah.
You're gonna use that. You're gonna have to start using algebra to get some of these web addresses.
Orlando-politics.com.
Orlando-politics.com or the Atlanta Political Observer.
That's Frank's website. But reading your website, I saw that the former candidates, Patricia Rumpf has now endorsed Alvin Moore, and then Greg Jackson, also one of the former candidates in the primary, has endorsed Brian Nelson. So we'll see how that plays. You talked about Alvin Moore trying to pick up some of those other areas that he didn't get the first time. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into it when one of the former candidates has already endorsed the front runner, if you will. Right. And then he got Patricia Rumpf, who's the surprise candidate, they say.
And if Patricia gets out there and starts making her voice known that she's in favor for Alvin, you add up Alvin's votes and Patricia's votes, and it's starting to look pretty good. So while Alvin might have snuck into the general, this isn't a foregone conclusion whatsoever. These county commission races, it depends how hard you work. It's one of those races where you can work hard and knock on a lot of doors and make a difference. It isn't always about the money. So.
All right, we'll see. So the next race is Orange County District 6.
Oh man.
So let's go there. Talk to me about that, Frank.
Orange County Commission District 6. Area representing Paramore, Pine Hills, some of the other areas surrounding downtown. It's an area that doesn't seem to get the attention it needs, and doesn't seem to get it doesn't seem to get the care that is required, unless there's something that the other commissioners can pull out of it, like a soccer stadium or a new venue, and so and it's just such a challenge to get that place to where it needs to be, and to get employment up, and to get to raise the quality of life in that area. So this is a really important race. The problem is, from what I've heard from a lot of voters on the ground, they aren't particularly excited about either of the two choices that made it to this level. You have Derek Wallace. They're both products of the district for the most part. Mm-hmm. You've got Derek Wallace, a business owner, an employer, engineering guy, with a strong background, and then you've got, this name's going to sound familiar, guys, Victoria Siplin, who of course is the wife of former State Senator Gary Siplin, one of the larger-than-life personalities here in Central Florida politics, and it's just an underwhelming feeling towards both of these candidates, because both of them are heavily involved in the business sector. Both of them have ties to the business community, which might not necessarily have an interest in the actual district. Now, of course, if you talk to both of these candidates, they do care about the area. They're not doing this, strictly for self-gain. Right. But I think there's a real disconnect. Yeah, theoretically. There's a real disconnect, though, between both of these candidates and the warmth and the feeling, which is why it's going to be so important for District 6 to turn out. Tiffany Moore Russell, popular incumbent, was there for 2 terms, and we're going to have a new representative for this really important area that's going to see a soccer stadium pop up there. Going to have a brand new Citrus Bowl up in that area. So the next commissioner from District 6 is going to inherit a lot of assets that can help that area move forward if it's led correctly. So both the voters definitely need to do their homework with these two.
Okay, all right. Now, as far as developmental plans, I'm sure both of them have expressed some developmental plans that they see that might work for the community. Have they really been talking about that, or are there some differences in what they're thinking? Or
you see, this is the problem. Derek Wallace, during the forums, he says that that we need a plan, but there isn't a lot of specifics on those plans. Now, he might very well have a plan, but he hasn't rolled it out to the media, and he hasn't gone into specifics. Victoria Siplin hasn't appeared at a lot of forums. She showed up to the last one, and she emphasized partnering with local small businesses. which sounds promising. But we've also heard that before. We were supposed to. Commissioners were supposed to partner with small businesses when the Amway Center opened up. What happened? A lot of them folded anyways. So what I would really like to see from both candidates are more details, maybe to roll out a plan there to see what exactly the specifics are in their plan to get this this district up and rolling and moving in the right direction, because it's been a little bit stagnant for some time now.
And I wonder too, with both of them sort of being neophytes in terms of the position that they're vying for. I don't know what their teams look like, but I wonder if they can really develop a plan without, if you've never been there, I don't know if they have people on their team that have, but if you've never been there, it's kind of hard to really come up with a conclusive plan, because you really don't even know what it looks like.
You're absolutely correct.
It's like, correct. I've never been to Philadelphia, so I can't break down, what it is, anything about Philadelphia for you, because I've never been there. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe that's part of their hurdle, is the fact that they don't have that experience, and perhaps don't have a team of people who have the experience to really be able to navigate and develop those kind of thoughts.
You're absolutely correct, and we're gonna. And I, you watch the campaign finance reports, you see the people around them. And it's really a question mark. This is a race heavily ran on style and very little substance. So and turnout was really low for this race anyways. So as far as plans go, I don't know what we'll get. I'd like to see some more. I'd love to write about it because it is an interesting race. You've got that larger than life Symone name that, for better or for worse, has always been in the news over the last couple of years. And then you have Derek Wallace, who loaned himself $100,000. To run for this office. Man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And has the resources to run a large campaign like this, but it's going to be all about who can get the vote out and who can convince the people that they're the one for the job, and we're going to see how it's done there. It's done mostly campaigning there is a real, game changer and a different way that things are done here with than the other commission races. District 2 and District 6, night and day races. I mean, the way the demographics work out and the businesses, completely different. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
All right. Anything else we need to be concerned about, thinking about when it comes to those particular 2 and 6, those races?
Get out there and meet them. You got to get out there and meet these candidates, and you got to have them explain to you, ask for specifics, and see what they're really all about. Unlike the other races where we got commercials, we got radios, we can't get away from Charlie Crist or Rick Scott. These guys, you got to go looking for them, because you might get some mail pieces, but as far as meeting them and finding out who has the best interest for their vision for the districts, it really is a toss up. So.
All right. Well, there it is. Orange County Commissioner District number 2, we have Brian Nelson and Alvin Moore. Orange County Commissioner District 6, we have Derek Wallace and Victoria Sipling. So those are your options, people. November 4th is the date that you can go out and choose that candidate that will represent you depending on their district. Make sure you show up November 4th, or show up at one of the polling places that they're going to have for early voting.
That's right. Early voting is the best, man.
It really definitely is, because the lines are never long.
Mm-hmm.
But so early vote, if that's what you can do, or mail it in. The ballots are going out as well, so that you can absentee vote via mail-in. So you got 3 ways, people. No excuses, right? No excuses.
Excuses.
Go out and pick somebody, vote for them, whoever you vote for. I don't really care. I just want you to represent something, represent something. Put your name on a ballot somewhere that you spoke
I have a question. So the Sipling law,
right?
That's the same Siplings?
Yes, that is the same Siplings. And, those billboards have always been controversial, because you can't tell, are they advertising – they're advertising their law firm. Gary Sipling's a successful attorney. They're advertising his law firm. But at the same time, when your wife is up there running for office, and he was running for office too, he lost to Geraldine Thompson in the state Senate primary. Is that a political advertisement or is it a campaign advertisement?
Exactly.
Is it both?
I don't know.
It's both.
Whatever it is,
it's branding,
it was smart.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It was
I
smart.
think it's branding.
It is branding, and that's what Gary Sipling's been able to do. When you think Gary Sipling, you think that white fedora.
Right. Yep.
That news coverage for better or worse, and it is a brand name. So we'll see. And it came through for Victoria in the in the primary. So we'll see if that brand name can get another sibling in office representing the Orlando area. So
that would be interesting. That certainly would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Now, when you say inherit, what does that mean by she inherits all of that?
She inherits that name recognition. When you hear sibling,
I mean, because she's in you said the Pine Hills area.
Paramore, Pine Hill, and some surrounding areas around downtown.
So I mean, with the stadium and being built and all that, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money be going to them.
That is a lot of money. That's a lot of opportunity
to the district.
To the district.
To the district. To the district.
Yeah,
that's not a guarantee. There, it might not go to the district. It'll go to people that have built in the district.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as our friends and neighbors, they might not see a dime of that.
They might not.
But now there will be some job creation and some opportunities for those people there. But the money never goes where you think it's going to go, which is unfortunate. And another reason to get out and vote.
Right. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
But you bring up a very good point. You bring up.
Because that's what just catches my ear as a person who really doesn't know much about the districts and voting and all of that. I do listen to certain things and I hear what you're saying. So when I hear that, it makes me think, who would be the better person to take care of that and, like you say, put the money back into the actual district.
And man, so many people think that way. They see buses of people going to these sporting events and events in that community. Well, the money's got to be going somewhere.
Right.
I know it ain't coming to us. So,
exactly. Exactly.
But that's the way a lot of people need to be thinking, in a way, and a very valid question to be asked. So.
Right. Hey, thank you, Frank. We appreciate it, man.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Anything you want to plug, Frank?
No, just the website, Orlando-politics.com. Now I can't see it with a straight face. Or the Orlando Political Observer. And, of course, catch me on Fox 35 throughout the election season, where I'll be doing, some hits, some television hits for doing some analysis for them as well.
All right, man. We appreciate it.
Sir,
thank you, sir. We'll see you next week then, sir.
Sounds good.
Indeed.
All right, man. That is Frank Torres, like he said. The website, Orlando-politics.com. You can also find him on Twitter at Frank Torres Net as well. So check him out, man. Frank is on top of any politics that's happening in the city. Frank Torres is on top of it. The website is immaculate, man. He has topics like I said, if it's happening in the city,
he knows about it.
Frank knows about it.
Yes,
He's
sir.
writing about it.
He's
so
that
Frank
guy.
Torres, check him out, man.
Any weather that's going on, he's out there with the jacket, with the sweater, with the umbrella. He's there reporting about
holding on to the
politics.
pole. The hurricane's coming through.
But I'm still here with the voters.
I like that.
That's Frank.
Yeah, I like that.
If you need to know, check him out.
Check him out, man. We want to plug an event that's going to be happening soon.
Yes.
I will let the Mouth of the South, I'm going to call him. The Mouth of the South, he says he don't want to plug it. All right. So I'll plug it. There's an event happening, a nonprofit business strategy seminar. It's going down on November the 8th, 2014. It is going to be at the Valencia State College West in the Valencia Health Sciences building. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is being sponsored by B.J. Adams and Associates. It's going to be a great seminar. They're going to break down for you and educate you on how to operate a nonprofit business. As they say, B.J. Adams and Associates, that is, if you have a for-profit business, you should have a nonprofit business as well. As well, sponsored by SunTrust, too. SunTrust Bank, yes. Yes, SunTrust Bank is also contributing. SunTrust Bank, is also contributing to the event as well. So, yeah, that's happening November the 8th, 2014, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Valencia State College West. To get more information and to register, you should go to NPAOForlando.com.
Napa of Orlando.
NapaofOrlando.com. Thank you, sir. Thank you. There is a cost involved. It's $49, but that includes the seminar and a copy of the book that B.J. Adams and Associates produced in association with the event. Yeah. All right. So
Should be interesting. It's if you have a nonprofit organization, if you're interested in getting a 501c3 for yourself in the future, if you already have one, I mean, even if you do have a for-profit also, because every for-profit definitely needs a non-profit. It's not all about money. So if you need any information about that, like you were saying, check it out. November 8th, Valencia College now. The seminar will be going down.
All right.
Go to bjadamsandassociates.org for any information.
bjadamsandassociates.org.
Or either Napa of Orlando.
Napa of Orlando. NPA of Orlando.
Yeah, National Accountant. I don't know what Napa stands for, but you know.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
It's Napa.
If you know accounting, then you know what Napa means. If you don't know, then hey, Google it.
All right. We're gonna keep it moving here. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. I want to switch it up a little bit from what I was going to talk about. Mr. King brought something to my attention that happened the other day. And we've been talking about these different events involving police. And here we go again. It's like we just can't get away from stories where the police are seemingly doing a brother wrong.
It's been happening, man.
It's been happening, but it's bombarding us now. It's now starting to make, I won't call it, it's not making all the national news, but due to social media,
we can get it out there.
It's getting out there.
It used to be only music. We can only get it out through music. Now we can get it out everywhere, and we getting it.
So this one occurred in Indiana. So there was a family. It's family. So there was the woman involved, her significant other, and their kids were in the car. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so they pulled her over. Ma'am, you're not wearing a seatbelt. And so they initially asked her for her ID and her identification, which she provided. She was driving. Then the man was sitting in the passenger seat. They began to ask him for his ID, which he said, "Hey, I'm not driving today, so I left my ID at home, so I don't have it." So from there, they kept pressing. Well, we need to identify you, So apparently he knew that he had a ticket that he had gotten a week prior that was located in a bag in the car. So he apparently went for the bag to get out the ticket, at which point they got kind of fearful. So they pulled out a gun. Again, this was a woman, a man, and the two kids was in the back. So they pulled out a gun because he reached down to grab this bag to pull out said ticket that he said that they can prove that he was who he was. And so they pulled out a gun on him, and they didn't shoot or anything. But they pulled the gun out. He provided them with the ticket that wasn't good enough yet and still. So from there, they seemed to ask him to get out the car. He said, "Hey, nothing. I didn't do anything. You pulled my wife over for a seatbelt ticket. So talk to my wife." I'm assuming was his thought process, right? But they kind of pretty much refused to get out the car because he didn't see the purpose of it. He provided them a ticket. He said, "Please run the ticket information. You can see my information, who I am, from this ticket that I got." Again, like I said, that apparently was not good enough. So they kept prompting him to get out the car. He pretty much refused to get out the car. And then at some point, the next thing you know, an officer came over, smashed his window on the passenger side, proceeded to tase him, at which point, of course, at that point, he fell out the car from being shook from the taser that they gave him. And that proceeded to arrest him, and we moved forward. Ultimately, no charges were brought. I don't know if they thought maybe he had a warrant because he didn't have an ID, but according to the story, if there was a warrant, I know they said, "Oh, he had a warrant." He apparently didn't because they didn't mention it. So he didn't have a warrant or anything. They just, he didn't provide an ID. He didn't have an ID. He didn't quote unquote cooperate them once they pressed forward. And so, they took it to where they took it. And now here we are. Again, though, what are they thinking?
See,
what are they thinking?
In this situation, usually you got what a brother did something wrong. He did something. He ran his mouth. He should have. In this case, you don't have nothing. The brother provided you with a ticket. He did everything that he was supposed to do, and they still harassed this man. I mean, in Trayvon case, well, hey, maybe you shouldn't have been confrontational. In Mike Brown case, well, hey, maybe you should have just got out the middle of the street. In the other dude in Walmart case, well, hey, maybe you shouldn't have been walking around Walmart with the gun in the first place. Okay, we have a reason to maybe give them the benefit of the doubt, right? In this case, what do you have?
You have a non-ID, and that's about it, man.
So since I didn't bring it, that was my fault. Now I got to look at myself and say, you know what?
But again,
I guess I should have had my ID.
I mean, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But I think at the same time, in this particular situation, why was his ID that important? You know, at the end of the day, you pulled the wife over for non-seatbelt. Apparently, he didn't have his seatbelt on either. But okay, give them both a ticket and move on. I mean, why did we have to go to this point where, oh, you gotta give me your ID? They called backup because he refused. You know, he didn't want to give them an ID or get out the car because, as he saw, well, you put my wife over for not having a seatbelt. Now, why am I getting all the flack? This whole time, and the reason why we even know what we know is because, again, his 2 kids was in the back seat of the car during this whole confrontation. So it's a mother, a father, and 2 kids. At the end of the day, what do you really think is going to happen so dangerous with a mother, a father, and 2 kids in the back? Now, is it possible that something crazy could happen and they could be doing something, wrong? Yeah, that's possible. But if you got a mother, a father, and 2 kids, I mean, if that was you in my mind, it was a white couple, a mother, a father, and 2 kids, you wouldn't be going through all these lengths, just to get an ID.
You wouldn't even ask them for no ID.
So why in this situation, why is it such a huge deal and we need 3 or 4 cops there to solve this problem of the man not having an ID and he won't get out the car and talk to us because he, and he, like I said, to follow up on my point, we know all of this because his 14-year-old son was in the back seat recording the whole thing. 14-year-old son in the back seat, daughter in the back seat as well. I think she was somewhere between 8 and 10, recording the whole thing, and it's really tasing the man in front of his kids, broke the family car window,
and they paid leave. That's what's going on with the cops. You ain't got to come to work. We're going to pay you, but just don't come to work for a little bit. And then, take your time, sit in time out, think about what you did.
Right.
And then come on.
At the moment, they're, of course, advocating. Of course, the family is suing now because the incident apparently happened about a month ago at this point. So the family has gotten their lawyer together, and they have already filed their lawsuit. So we'll see what happens, but it just blows my mind. Why do we constantly see these escalating situations over what at least sometimes appear to be such petty things? 407-894-1680. 407-894-1680.
That's the thing that be killing me. It almost seems like a big overreaction. It's like, okay, now if he went and reached for the bag without telling them, hey, I'm going to look for a ticket, I do understand them pulling the gun, because if he just turn around reaching the bag, I can't understand that. I thank God they didn't fire, but I do understand that because at that point in time they don't know what he's doing. But like the breaking of the window, and it seems like, I don't know. That's the thing. Honestly, that's why I didn't want to watch the video. I didn't watch it. Because all these videos been popping up, and I'm trying to stay in a positive mindset, just to be honest with you. And stuff like that tends to make me angry. So I really stopped watching a lot of the videos unless I'm just really having a good day. It's like, well, let me check it out, see what happens. But
I can't agree with that.
I'm just speaking for me.
I understand that you do it.
It makes me angry, and I just can't have that angry spirit.
But that's what's going on around you.
I understand that's what's going on,
but
that's why
cover it. You're trying to run from it and be
no. I'm not trying to run from it. I understand it.
You just don't want to see it.
Before the videos came out, I understand it happened. I understand it's been going on since they invented cars and we had them.
It's been going on before cars because they had horses.
I mean, well, yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. This is definitely nothing new. So that's why it's not like I've never been ignorant of the situation. I've never watched any of these videos like, oh my God, why are they doing this?
But it's I want to know why though. Why is it at that point where you just can't pull over a family? And it goes into what we're going to talk about when it comes to Sister Symone. That's why I kind of agree with what she was saying, but we'll get into that. But, it's kind of like, when are we eventually going to be equal? And, people that are bad are just people that are bad. And I understand when the cop came in, he was kind of like, you only got that split-second decision. And I understand what he was saying. But in this situation, in most of the situation, it's kind of like, man, you couldn't make a better decision than that? You couldn't make a more wiser choice? Like, does it always have to be the bad conclusion that you have to be drawn to protect yourself? You took this job. You made an oath. Understood. So don't think that everybody is bad just because, I got to protect myself. So everybody got to be bad till they prove to me that they good. And that's not a mindset that I think that they should have.
They're right. Now, that's the issue I have, too, because, they're not doing it with everybody.
Exactly.
And that, to me, that's the bigger issue. It's like, now, if you treated everybody like a stone cold killer, okay, well, we fine then because everybody on the same playing field. But you pull over a young black family and you go into this link. Now, are you going to do the same thing if you pull over another family?
Not at all.
And that's my issue with it is like, why are we assumed to be criminals? Like you said, why are you trying to ID him?
Like
he's not driving. Who does it matter?
Like the officer that was here when he was like, if you're in the Windermere area and you pull over a black family versus if you're in the Paramore area and you pull out a black family, it's how you control yourself,
right?
And that's where it starts. Now I understand being on your P's and your Q's, but you still got to control yourself. Now if you're in the Paramore area, you still should not, and it's unhumane to go to those extremes that they went to actually harass the father like they did, like you say, busting up the family window,
right,
tasing them, going to these links in front of his kids,
in front of the kids,
simply for something as simple as this man just doesn't have his ID.
And it's one of them. I don't know the
they were in Indiana.
The legal rights as far as the state of Indiana, as far as providing ID if you're not driving. I don't know if you required to have it or not.
They ask for it, yeah.
Oh, Chris Shaw just said if they ask for ID, you're supposed to present it.
But if you don't have it, what can you do?
Right.
But I would say this. If he went in the bag to get the ticket, he should have said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to reach in this bag and get this ticket so y'all can identify me."
Cool. That's cool. But
right.
after I done gave you the ticket,
right.
Now what did you still messing with me for?
Exactly. See that right. That's the part is like the overreaction is like, okay, this is what I got. I don't have a picture ID. Why are we going to the
I find it a major issue that what do we do in that situation? We don't have what we gonna call 911 on the police while we getting pulled over by the police?
Honestly,
here's what's amazing.
I would say this to that. Yes,
but here's
the
what's
reason
amazing
is
about
because
that
it will
story,
be because it will be recorded.
Here's what's interesting about that story.
He got it on video.
The wife,
I'm just saying
hold
in
on.
general, it leaves a trail.
Hold on, Jeremy. The
It's just
wife
more
actually
evidence.
was on the phone with 911 during this whole ordeal.
Oh wow! See?
There's nothing that us
That's what's interesting about that story.
nothing as us as black people can do. Nothing. There is nothing we can do, man. It's a lose-lose situation. It's just like, you just continually getting harassed, beat upside the head, and fought in coffee shops. Because even the video that I showed you with the two dudes that was fighting the police, they did nothing. The police followed him in there. He put his hand on the man's shoulder. He took his hand off the shoulder, and that's assault. Because you pushed my hand off of your shoulder. Now you're in the wrong if I beat your tail and you beat mine back.
He was in the wrong. You touched me with no reason.
If you put your hand on a police officer's shoulder, that's assault.
Right.
You will go to jail for that. But if they put their hand on your shoulder, hey, man, I'm just trying to talk to you. What you mean? Like, come on. Look, what do we do in these situations? We do nothing. We lose no matter what. In the dude situation, they took the hand, man, don't touch my shoulder. Now the police officers want to fight with us because I knocked his hand off my shoulder and I'm still in the wrong. In this situation, the lady was on the phone with the police. The child that was 14 recording in the background, and the police still nothing happens.
I would say this is the I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Because it's an outrage, brother. That's why you don't want to watch the video because you will lose all train of thought and you will come and see what I'm talking about.
I see exactly what you're talking about. I am in a car the majority of my time. That's why it's like I try not to. I don't want to continuously watch the videos because it'll put you in that mind state. So when you do get pulled over, you already be on 10.
Well,
and honestly, I
think it's the opposite. I think when you do get pulled over, it's kind of like, okay, I done seen these videos, so I know what not to do.
Right. I mean, there is that element to it, but as you say, we are human. It might be that day.
It's
be like,
still,
let him say one thing.
it ain't got nothing to do with you though. As you
No,
can
no,
see,
I'm not talking about the cop. I'm talking about me.
I'm talking about you too.
Yeah.
I'm sure the dude in the car that after he got the guns pulled out on him, I'm sure his demeanor might have changed from whatever level he was on to a decreased level.
Like he calmed down a
You
little
know,
bit. Yeah.
but then they broke the windows and started tasing him. I think that's out of your control.
Yeah,
even
nah, that
if
is-
it's
that is-
you.
that is out
like
of
I
your
said,
control.
once you
That
pull
is
out
out.
some guns, I might have been the toughest dude in the world. I might have been Debo. But you pull out 2 guns from 2 different officers and my kids in the back.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm
hey,
chill
brother.
mode now.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to do anything that pushes you to bust my windows and tasing me.
All right, brother. So, like I said, interesting story. Just keeps seeming to, because of social media, these things keeps bombarding us. But hopefully we'll see some solutions to these things. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Don't
I'm
only.
going to keep hope alive.
Yeah. Only solution when they start getting punished. I mean, and that's that.
This brother. You don't think nobody getting punished. Moving on here. The other
You
topic
gonna
that
punish the person with the whip.
they're gonna moving on to discuss the topic you hinted at. Raven Symone. Raven Symone was in the news this week. She did an interview with Oprah Winfrey and just talking about where she is now. It's at one of Oprah Winfrey's one of Oprah Winfrey's Where Are They Now segments. And so she was just discussing her life and commenting on different topics. And one of the things that kind of caught fire this week is she made a comment to say that I want to quote her. She said, "Don't label me."
Yeah, she don't like labels.
She doesn't like labels. So she didn't want to be labeled gay because she is a lesbian. She doesn't want to be labeled gay, and she doesn't want to be labeled African American. So in particular, when she said she didn't want to be labeled African American, even Oprah in the interview was like, "Whoa, girl, did
Oprah
you
got
really?
out her chair for that one.
Is
She
that what
had
you
to
really want
stand
to
up.
say? You might
Whoa.
want to walk that back a little
Yeah.
bit." But she held firm in her comment and said, "Yes, that's exactly what I want to say. I do not want to be labeled African American." And so, if you're reading on the internet at all, a lot of people are kind of throwing shade her way due to the fact that she said she didn't want to be labeled, and in particular African American, gay, or anything. She wants to simply be thought of as an American,
As a human.
well, she said American too,
But
because her point is, I'm from America. I've never been to Africa, so I don't have any connection to Africa. So I'm not African American. I am an American because I'm from, I think if I remember right, Louisiana.
Well, her parents are mixed with a lot of things that she was saying in the thing. Her parents are mixed, and that's why she has no connection with Africa, because it's in her bloodline. And it's like a lot of people try to make Halle Berry, African black, because she got some in her blood, and they try to make, different people black because it's in their blood. And that's basically what she was saying, that, just because it's in my blood, don't label me African American, especially since I was on the Cosby Show. That's why most people want to label. If you seen her, you would not think she was black anyway. This light-skinned little girl.
I do.
I think she black. I just think she got a little
I mean,
she got a little more mixed than most of us.
If you
That's all.
seen, her parents are lighter than me.
I know she said she from she's people from Louisiana, so that means she probably means she from what they call them? People from Louisiana. What they call them? I can't think.
They just ain't your day, man.
Yeah, not just the bayou. It's something.
what, Geechee?
No, that's South Carolina. It's something they call
Gypsy?
Oh man,
I don't know.
y'all way off.
But anyway, but yeah, that's what she
I mean,
was
it's a
basically
French.
trying to
It's
say.
a French background, but it's a word for it. I'm sorry, we ain't gonna spend the whole show trying to
But she
figure it out.
was trying to say, call me a human, not a lesbian, because I'm a lover of people. Because she's dated guys, but the guys that I seen her date before this ordeal were thugs that she really shouldn't have been with. I mean, I saw her boyfriend and I was like, really? I might have a chance then if that's the
But
case.
now you remember that could just be
not
appearance.
anymore, brother.
Well, yeah, not anymore. She's different. She's completely. She's on that Donald Glover mode now. She's all on that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the young lady she's been in a relationship with for a couple of years now. So, for all intents and purposes, it's serious for her. So,
Yeah, I don't know if you. I saw on the internet that she posted a picture. They've known each other since they were kids.
Mm-hmm. They've known each other for a long time. She was that best friend, or that good friend that's always been there. The one at the slumber parties, the one that the boys was like, "Oh, that's your homegirl? That's just my friend. We just talking. Oh, okay, well, cool."
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Didn't know that was gonna be the kumbaya.
47894-1680. Listening to her comments, because I watched the video of the actual interview. I really wasn't bothered by the comments either. Because like I said, I can see point in African American, because I too, I don't really like the term African American. I think that term should be reserved for someone who was born in Africa and then came to America. That to me is an African American. As she says she wants to be called an American. I can see that point. But personally, I subscribe to James Brown, so
say it loud.
And I'm black and I'm proud. So that's how I'm not bothered by someone who was born in America who does happen to have a darker skin, and this idea that they want to be called African American. I'm not bothered by that, because as she says, obviously we have a connection to Africa, but that connection is so far removed from where I am currently today that it has no real meaning for me other than to understand where I come from in my history. So for that matter, I can certainly see that point. I think for her it's a bigger thing. Like you said, she refers to herself, and we're all humans, and we're not gay, we're not lesbian, we're not heterosexual, and we're human, as she said. That is that's some different stuff, we'll call it.
It's not different. It's just that people aren't used to hearing that we're spirits in a mold. Once you take the spirit out of the flesh, you just a spirit. Once you go inside this particular flesh, then you start feeling those emotions that you feel when you're on earth. Those emotions that make you a woman, and those emotions that make you a man. But if you take the spirit out of J. Real and put it into a female, you're still going to be the same spirit, same mind, but you're going to have different emotions from a man to a woman. And, people think that that's deep because they don't understand it, because that's not how they were taught. But, depends on what you think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just a spirit in some flesh that's going to go back to the earth once you die.
Right.
But people don't understand that, because that's not what most churches preach.
If they're in a good church, they should have heard that.
They should have, but most of the time, we hear the same old.
We're gonna leave your feelings on church alone today, bro.
I'm not. It's not my feelings on church. Don't try to make me sound like I'm making feelings on church. I didn't say that.
No, that's right. Don't put the brother out there.
I'm not putting the brother out there.
He always trying to throw me under the bus.
I'm not throwing you under the bus.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Sunday want to milk that.
We're not going there today. Now, here's another comment talking about African Americans. In another interview that happened recently, a rapper by the name of Lil Boosie, he made a comment where he said, in an article, he was talking about African Americans. In general, he was talking about people in the ghetto and the mindset that those people have. And in talking about that, he referenced and said African Americans are the worst race in the world. African Americans are the worst race in the world. Now, for me, the thing that really made me want to at least have a comment on this is because of who he is, and not so much what he's saying to maybe my generation, but what the generation underneath me is hearing when someone whom, whether we like them or like him or not is not the point, but he's someone that those younger generation listen to and respect. He's a popular rapper. And so for him to get the headline quote, because that's what we do these days, we take the headline quote that we kind of find controversial, and that's our lead story. So what they're hearing, because they're probably not going to listen to the interview, is what they heard is that he said African Americans are the worst race in the world. Now, to his point, what he was advocating for is that we have a tendency, especially in our lower income neighborhoods, to commit crimes, and those crimes are committed themselves. So as he talks about in the interview, being afraid of the white man, or the white man's doing this to us, and he uses the example of, when I'm in, the hood, if you will, it's not the white man who's hiding in the bushes with a chopper, to use his term, trying to rob me. That's not a white man. That's usually a black man waiting to rob me. When I'm getting jacked from my rims as I roll down the street, that's not a white man that's robbing me. That is a black man that's robbing me. And so in any of these situations where, if I'm getting 9 times out of 10, if I'm getting killed street, It's not a white man that's killing me. It is a black man that's killing me. So that's his reference to say we're the worst race in the world because we commit all these crimes against each other rather than trying to uplift each other and bring each other out of that particular situation, uplift ourselves, if you will. And so that's his reference point, which I think, again, it becomes that rhetoric. I think a lot of people get caught up in the rhetoric. They'll say something and people will run with the statement and then forget the point. And that's certainly what's happening in this case, because that's the headline: African Americans are the worst race in the world.
Right.
But what but they're missing his bigger point of the fact that we unfortunately commit a lot of crimes towards each other, and then we blame the outside world for the crimes, if you will, or the situations that we put each other in. What do you guys have to say about that?
I would say this: one, I was shocked that he said it. I mean, it's amazing what a little time will do to you.
Ain't that the truth? Brother, come on, my brother, my brother.
Do you understand the ramifications of what you are doing? And the reason I say it's really shocking coming from Boosie, because if you are anyway familiar with Boosie, at least his previous music, I haven't heard his new album, but his previous music, I mean, just is hood to the max. You know,
he was one of the ones.
He was one of the ones
in the bushes
with the chopper. So even the fact, I mean, everybody's going to mature. Everybody's going to mature. Everybody's grow old and realize mistakes they made, which is a good thing. That's why, in a lot of ways, I'm glad that he did say it, because it's like, okay, he's getting older. He's realizing that a lot of stuff they were doing when they were young is stupid, and he's not. At least he's not carrying on the ignorance.
Right.
You know, he's saying it, and it's good that he's saying it, because hopefully a lot of kids that's on the internet searching for his music will see this and absorb it and say, okay, well, he got a good point.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know a lot of people that actually agree with his statements, and agree and say that, you know, they're the worst race in the world. Every other race actually sticks together, and we're the only ones that, you know, bring everything upon ourselves. So, you know, for, like you say, from the man that he is saying that's just what's the turning of heads. Somebody else who had a little more intelligence than him would have worded it differently, so that you can completely understand versus run it off with our imaginations. Because a part of being the worst race in the world, it kind of involves our imagination, and we'll just take it as the negative instead of seeing, you know, what he's really trying to say. So, you know, I, for one, am not going to comment if I agree or disagree. But I can just say that I can see where he's coming from.
Well, you know, I don't necessarily. Obviously, I disagree with the statement, but I think that he has a point. I think
that's contradicting yourself right there, in my opinion.
No, it's not, because the statement says African Americans are the worst race in the world. Now, I don't think we're the worst race in the world.
Who will be better?
I would say that. Now, if you say we're not the worst, I need a name.
Yes, please.
Give me a top five or top three.
Give me
but
one worse.
I don't quantify races as being better than the next, so that's why I don't even have a comment on who's bad or
but
good
you know the
or anything.
qualifications of races, though. You know that most Haitians, Jamaicans, Caribbean islands, they're more family oriented. You know, most black people, they lazy. You know, you have things that
those are stereotypes. Those are not. They're not necessarily true.
What ain't true about it then? Tell me what ain't true about it.
But no, I don't quantify races as being good, bad, or ugly. So that's why I disagree, because I would never quantify race as being anything. That's basically a stereotype, and we should be trying to get rid of all stereotypes. So, but I mean, does he have a point that we unfortunately do a lot of times, especially in lower income neighborhoods, commit crimes against each other? And should we stop that? Of course. I mean, I think we can all agree with that. I don't think there's anything to disagree with the idea that we need to, in our lower income neighborhoods, find ways to uplift each other in those situations, to encourage each other to get out of those situations, and not to perpetuate a generation after generation of living in poverty. So on that point, we agree. But no, I don't quantify races as being good, bad, or ugly, because I think if we look at any race, we can certainly find negativity in that race, but that doesn't necessarily make the entire race bad. You know, that just makes a certain group of people that need some work, need some help, need some education to get up out of that situation. That's all. That's how I see it.
Need some empowerment.
Need some empowerment. Exactly.
Y'all are comical today, man. Y'all got me rolling up here today, man.
What'd I say? I'm not a comedian.
I'm just saying. It's just the things that y'all are just saying. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. It sounds good, but basically, ain't nobody else doing what we doing to each other.
I would say this.
That's not true.
I would say this. Maybe they're not doing it in this country. Actually, no, I can't even agree with that because if you're familiar with, we can't want to get into this too deep, but the Chinese, they traffic each other.
Right.
Mexicans traffic each other.
No, actually, I thought it was they get Japanese or something like that.
No. Most races that traffic, they traffic each other, and that's why they can do it because they keep it within each other.
Right.
And that's why they get away with it for so long.
So
I mean, you do have those elements too.
Good,
I mean,
bad, and
right. There's a lot.
There's no one race is better than the next.
But see, the thing about it is we have the power to change it,
and we see what we do. So
each race has the power to change that.
No. Not like we have the power in America. Because as black people, we have everything right there. We just got to get up and go do it. They give us all the resources to take over, but then we have those few that hold us down, and we'll just all go down because of those few. You have Marcus Garvey who had that hey, let's do this.
It takes education. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen overnight. But if we consistently provide education to individuals, in those situations, a generation from now, we might be able to see a change. but it takes a generation because you have to remember there's going to be a group that looks at you crazy and says it's not possible. So you're going to have to talk to that group. And then there's also, so you have to catch those kids. And so as those kids, I should say, begin to grow up, then you can start to see the change. But
how many generations ago was Marcus Garvey?
Just one.
Right, but again, it's a continual process.
He was around when our grandma was around.
It's a continual process. He can only touch so much. We have to touch people in every city in America. I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to continue to touch people consistently. That's the key. It has to be done consistently. It doesn't come from, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King can stand up for the nation, but now you need individuals that aren't Martin Luther King. And not related to him, individually working on a daily basis to talk to people, to educate people. And so once you do that for 15, 20, 30, 40 years consistently, that's when the change begins because you're not going to change a lot of those people initially. It's going to take a while. That's how the change comes. One more thing I wanted to mention before we get out of here. The first Ebola patient died in Texas. He died today. And what I found interesting, if you saw this at all, Jesse Jackson released a op-ed post today. This had happened. The op-ed post got published before the death, but he released an op-ed post today criticizing basically the treatment of the brother that died from Ebola. I don't know how y'all feel about this. I would just say that for me, I thought that was in bad taste. I don't really think there was any kind of shadiness in terms of how he got treated or anything. And so for him to come out and basically say that he got treated poorly because he was a black man and he didn't get treated like the two missionaries did that survived, the two white missionaries that survived and got treated in Georgia. I think he's just way off balance. I don't think this is a black-white thing.
You can't
Ebola is killing people left and right.
But he was there.
Ebola may be killing people, but I mean, if there's a disparity in treatment, there's a disparity in treatment.
And if he was there to see it, then you got to go off of what he said.
What are the facts? He has no proof, no facts.
He was there seeing it. I'm pretty sure he flew out there. I had somebody who works for him fly out there.
He flew out there and talked to the family, but I mean, by the time he went to the hospital, from what they're saying, the man was already bleeding from the eyes. Due to the effects of Ebola. I mean, so that means the disease had already progressed quite some time, quite a way.
Have you seen that movie Outbreak? When they start bleeding from the eyes, it's pretty much.
So I mean, if the man was, if that is true, and the man was bleeding from the eyes,
I think it's pretty much a wrap anywhere. Have a cold.
There's no difference in treatment. The two white missionaries basically came over and got treated immediately once it was found. As far as we know, there were no symptoms of them. I don't know. I just think it's bad taste to come out and say just because he was one. They said when he was in Africa, they said he was actually carrying a patient who had Ebola. So this is not, those missionaries probably were protected and their PPE, as they call it, probably had a cut, and that's what got them exposed to it. But this man was literally out in the open, no protection, dealing with Ebola patients.
What they got to do with the treatment, though?
The idea that he came back here and then not get the right treatment, I just think
that
it's
has
bad
nothing to do with the treatment.
There's no
you
proof of it.
You going on opinion now. You ain't going on the treatment.
There's no proof
you
of
ain't
it.
got nothing to do with the treatment, dog. We
no-
trying to talk about, hey, the brother got treated differently than people that wasn't brothers. That's all we talking about. We ain't talking about what he was doing in the past.
And all I'm gonna say to you and Jesse Jackson is show me the proof because I don't see it.
But you don't need proof. He saw it.
What did he saw?
You don't know what he saw.
Exactly. But if he can write an article to talk about it, then he should be able to quantify what he saw.
You know what that sound like? My Uncle Tom.
Whatever, brother. Hey, if you're going to accuse somebody of something, you should at least back up what you're accusing.
Hey, I'm backing up the brother.
That's just facts.
And the brother say that the brother wasn't getting treated right. Who I'm gonna listen to?
That's just the facts. That's just like
you
like
ain't got
with
no
the police.
fact that he was treated good.
It's just like with the police. We can quantify why the police are wrong because we can prove that they did something that they shouldn't have done. It's the same thing. Quantify. Don't write an article. Don't write an op-ed about it.
Don't bust down Jesse. Okay.
Quantify it. That's all I'm gonna say. You're gonna put it out there. Quantify it. Because you can't
Jesse.
quantify it, brother. I don't want to hear.
Write another article, Jesse.
Yeah,
I believe you before I believe them.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to Real Family Talk. We're going to play this new outro. Thank you for Chris for helping us out with this. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. This is one of your co-hosts, Jeremy, a.k.a. Younger Brother. Tune in next week from 9 to 10 p.m. and every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. See you.
My brother, my brother.
This is your host, Jay Real from Real Family Talk. We are here live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is Hump Day. Listen to the show and enjoy your Wednesday night.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.